Okay, so I welcome folks to the March 2021, my how the year passes, project update call for GNU Radio. I'm Derek. We have alongside Josh Mormon, Barry Duggan, and Martin, as well as the eminently known Stream Master, which is actually copying this call out to Twitch and eventually to YouTube. So, thanks folks for joining. We have a fairly short but significant set of updates. So we'll launch right into those. And then if anyone has questions, of course, please just post them into the Twitch chat and we will address those either as we go along or at the end, depending on what makes sense. First up is an update on our annual event, the GNU Radio Conference. This is going to be running in September. The dates are the September 20 to 24th, and we have not yet decided whether we're going to be running an in-person event with online live streaming or just streaming straight online. We'll be making that call probably middle to end of April, just as we have a bit more information about whether it's going to be safe and sensible to do an in-person event. Part of that decision, though, of course, is will anybody show up and what are people interested in doing? This is a community event, and so we need to know what you're interested in doing. We have the call for submissions went up in at the start of the year, and we now have the, here we go. We now have the actual, I don't know, Martin, if you can make me a full screen here, or if I am already in your layout. But we have the actual submission site up and running now. So if you go to events.gnuradio.org or go to our standard website and click through, either way will work, you can see we are now running Indico. Indico is a free and open source event management platform, primarily developed by CERN. And it looks like it's going to be a great answer to coordinating the entire event, really, other than registration, which we'll be continuing to use pre-ticks as in past years. You can see we've been testing this out. You won't be able to access any of those test events. I assure you they are imminently boring. But we do have project calls and conferences. Under conferences, you can see GNU Radio Conference 2021. And if you click through here, you'll end up on the main event website. This has our call for abstracts, submission instructions, and a survey. So working through those. If you are listening to this call, please, 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 please go and fill out this survey. It is really short. All we want to know is if you're interested in attending at all, and if so, how are you interested in attending? This will help us inform how we run the event and also helps us reach out to people who are interested in supporting the event so that we can plan the best possible event. The call for abstracts is the same as was published out a while ago. I don't know, I haven't browsed this website quite enough. Here we go. So we have under submission instructions, the different types of events that we're looking for people to contribute. If you're submitting a paper, we do have templates, both Office and LaTeX. Workshops, lightning talks, posters, and breakout sessions. So however you're interested in participating in the GNU Radio Conference, this is the system for submitting it. If you don't see something that makes sense, or you have questions, or you'd like to contribute in a way that isn't nicely falling into one of these categories, please do email us. Our email address is grcon@gnuradio.org, and you'll reach one of us, and we'll get back to you ASAP with that information. We do have a great submission guide. Big thanks to Samantha for leading up, putting that together, and herself, Barry, and Josh for leading the construction of this website and getting it up and running. It's going to be a great platform for us this year. Actually, submitting the abstracts is under the call for abstracts. And this does include all of those varieties of submissions. The main website is fairly empty at the moment, but we'll be filling that in over the course of this month and in the entire duration leading up to September. I think that's the essence of what we have. On our main website, under the blog and in a couple other places, you can read our call for participation. It's a nice summary. And as it says here, if we are in person, we will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's where we were planned to be last year. It's where we plan to be this year if we're able to run in person. So we'll post up more information about the venue, etc., if we do decide to go that way in April. And that wraps it up for the GNU Radio conference. If you have any questions about that, you send us a note in any way. Leading on from there, I'll stop sharing, and if I can hand it over to Josh Mormon and Jeff Long to talk about code matters. Perhaps it makes the most sense to start off with Josh, if you want to lead it.
Sure. So hello everyone. If I haven't met you, I'm Josh, and I've been involved with some of the code maintenance, helping Marcus out for quite a while, and taking over a bigger role in maintaining the master branch. And then Jeff, so happy that Jeff has stepped up to take over maintenance of the maintenance branches. So I don't know, Jeff, you want to introduce yourself if you have audio?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jeff Long. I've been hanging around GNU Radio for a lot of years, been most of the conferences, but I haven't really taken an official role in this before. And I had a little bit of time on my hands, so I thought I'd volunteer to do that. And so we're going to try to keep multiple release trains going at once. Yet to be determined exactly how many we can handle. It's not a large company or anything, but we do see the value for people in having stable releases they can work with. And then also working more with the people who package them, and Josh is actually getting a handle on some of that with the PPAs and talking with the maintainers. So hopefully we can keep your stable branches working and keep the great work going on the development branches at the same time.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff. And big thank you to Marcus, Martin, Derek for setting this up to hand it over. And so we're just kind of picking up where they left off. And also, so on the master branch, one of our goals, so I want to go through a couple of the goals that we have coming up. One of our big goals is to do more regular releases. So we're thinking about every 6 months, we want to release off of the master branch, sometime around GRCon and sometime around FOSDEM. And people put a lot of work into contributing, reviewing, getting these features ready to go. So we want to make an extra effort to get those out there, get those out as releases, so they can roll into distributions, things like that. So that's one of our goals. Another goal is putting some packaging in tree. So I have done a very poor job of keeping the PPA up to date, the PPA and the Fedora Copper. So if you've tried to use those recently, they got a little bit out of date since the 3.9 release. So I think, internally we've talked, the only real way to keep the PPA and the Fedora Copper in sync is to have all that stuff in tree, just enough scripts to where the CI can run some basic packaging and push it into those systems, so that they're just there, and you have relatively recent releases off of the master and the main 3.9, main 3.8 branches sitting there in the PPA. So that's one effort. Also on the 3.10, what's tagged as 3.10 right now, what would be the next release off the master branch. So there's some exciting features. So Jacob Gilbert has put together a GR-PDU. So it's an entirely new module in GNU Radio. And in this one, rather than doing a lot of the signal processing based on continuous streams, it's all PDU based. So burst based signal processing, which is exciting. It's a lot of tools, utilities, and then also signal processing networking blocks that leverage those utilities. We also want to make it easier for people using radios other than the Edis radios to get the main release of GNU Radio and jump right in to be able to work with their hardware. So GRIIO, there's a PR in place that I think is getting close. So Adam Horden has put together, has taken where this was left off with analog devices and gotten it in shape on the master branch. So that's exciting that this GRIO will be there soon, allow people to use the Pluto SDRs right out of the box with GNU Radio, and also GR-SOPI. So Jeff Long has taken the work the LibreSpace Foundation has done with GR-SOPI and started pulling that in tree. So those will be some nice big additions to the GNU Radio code base coming up in the next release. And also there's some other bigger features that we're targeting. Hard to say if they will make it. I don't think significant effort has been done on these, but we'd like to see the logging system get reworked. So log for CPP, which is used currently, is not the best dependency. So there's the current candidate is SPD log. So if anyone's looking to take on a big feature there, that would be an interesting one to take on. And also PMTs. So the PMT API, it is what it is. It works. It does what it does. But we've been looking for a long time for a replacement. And so both of these are described as greps in the GNU Radio enhancement proposals repository. So there's discussion there. So if you have ideas there, take a look at the greps repository and you can comment, submit changes to those greps. And that's all I had, Derek.
Great. I will quickly just share the greps page here. So for those who aren't familiar, and this is both simultaneously slightly new and also not fully utilized setup that we've been running, modeled off after the Python community's way of putting in place significant updates. These aren't changes where we're fixing a typo or adding one block. It is for larger architectural changes to GNU Radio and or large dependencies, new feature sets, or standardizing practices. So you can see some of these are coding, some of the early ones are coding guidelines, templates, etc. Modernization of C++ was one that went in about a year ago. And this is all published on our GitHub, GNU Radio/greps. And you can see some of the incoming proposals as well. So an update on versioning. This is something that's being quite heavily driven by Josh and Jeff. And this is a clarification and enhancement of our existing versioning.md file, which is in the code currently. So we're hoping that this will clear up some of the areas that are currently vague. But you can take a look at these, and also if anyone had a large proposal for GNU Radio, this is how you would formally submit it. We'd say, chat on the developers channels and mailing list first, and then it would move through here. But just in case folks haven't seen this before.
Cool. And I guess I want to bring up one other thing on the, if I can share easily here. 1 second. Here we go. There we go. So if you take a look at the GNU Radio GitHub repo under projects, there are a number of, these are kind of our larger initiatives, release 3.10 being one of them. So if you click on release 3.10, these are kind of the features that are roughly sorted as to things we want to get. Not everything shows up here, but things that are tagged either from the issues or PRs. And so they, oh, sorry. So yeah, take a look here. So if you've got ideas for things that are in these lists that you want to take on, that would be great. Or if you've got things you want to show up in these lists, you can add it here if you're in the appropriate group, or let me know and I can add things here if you think that it's important for those things to make it into a release pretty soon.
Yes, this is a great thing to point out, and is I mean, this sort of road mapping is just another step where the project is evolving in maturity and in how transparent a lot of this communication is. We hope that it continues, and if you are someone or an organization who is very interested in the long-term stability of GNU Radio, not LTS type releases where we were backporting bugs for longer, or you're interested in, you have opinions about significant changes to GNU Radio in the future, these are places to take a look. And also do get in touch, because maintaining these sorts of dashboards and older releases take a lot of time, take a lot of energy, and the project does need support to be able to continue doing that and expand those efforts. I think that wraps up everything that we had on the code side and the maintenance. So Josh, do you want to jump on to scheduler then?
Sure. So GNU Radio 4.0 runtime scheduler working group. So this is the group where we brainstorm, work through concrete and less concrete ideas about what should be the GNU Radio 4.0 runtime and the current implementation towards that, which is in this new sketch repository. So this group is led by Bastian and myself, and there's a bunch of people in the community that jump in and participate heavily in this. And so next Thursday, March 25th, we'll plan on having another session. Those are usually sometime around noon or 1 Eastern time. So we'll send out emails and post it, but mark your calendars for that. I think specifically this time we want to talk about two things. One is the block API, constructing the block API to handle different implementations. For instance, how do you have a block that's one block in GNU Radio, but then you can select whether that goes to the CPU or to the GPU. So there's a lot of details in there how to make that happen and have a clean API. This API is super important. And then the other topic we want to hit on is the line between scheduler and runtime. What is part of the GNU Radio runtime, and what is this kind of modular scheduler? So how do we make the scheduler do the things that it should do without having to replicate it in other schedulers? What do we make the runtime? What do we make the scheduler? So that's what we plan on talking about next Thursday.
Josh, do you have a time for that, approximately?
I approximately will be, I think we do it around this time, but daylight savings messed everything up. So it'll probably be, 1 p.m. Eastern, or what is this? This is 1800. So it'll probably be like 1700 or 1800 UTC next Thursday, sometime around there. So I usually throw it out on the development channel and see who can make it and adjust accordingly. Or actually, no, throw it out on the scheduler channel. There's a scheduler channel on chat.gnuradio.org.
So for folks who are interested in contributing directly to this, they'd be able to join the call. Do definitely join the chat channel. Mm-hmm. That's really the first step to getting linked in with this. I believe there's also a mailing list that you can get that info in the chat room.
Yep.
Get involved. It is a huge effort, and this is the type of challenge where any small group of people is going to miss edge cases, scenarios, and bits of experience that other groups have worked through in the past. We don't have, no one knows everything. So if you think you have a particularly interesting use case, if you've dealt with some of these issues before, please do consider coming forward and adding in your experience here. There's going to be a huge evolution of GNU Radio over time, and these APIs, our current set of block APIs and scheduler APIs have been with us for over a decade at this point. Chances are that many of these APIs will probably have lifetimes similar to that. So this is something where experience is very welcome. Carrying on in the chain of meetups, the scheduler meetup will be occurring next week, but even sooner than that, there'll be the next iteration of our amateur radio meetup. So Barry, what's on for this weekend?
Yeah, coming up Saturday, we have another of our monthly video get-togethers. And this was started back at GRCon last year. And we decided it would be good to have a monthly video meeting with a presentation and then ensuing discussion, Q&A. So on Saturday at 1600 UTC, Ray Roberts is going to do a presentation on a ground station test transceiver. And he'll start out by explaining what that is. And interestingly, it not only has transmitter and receiver functions, but it has a telemetry section as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So how do you find that? If you go to the GNURadio.org site and then click on News and go down to about the fourth item, it is the Amateur Radio Monthly Meeting Group, and then follow the links from there and you'll get the details of the meeting and also the link to go to Zoom. So hope you can join us then. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. So I'm just sharing that page on the screen at the moment. You can see also, if you haven't been able to catch them in the past, there are notes, slides, flow graphs, and other information about the past events on this wiki page, as well as recordings of the sessions themselves, so you can catch up on the past talks. The details about the latest event are down at the bottom of the page, and I'm looking forward to joining in on this. So thanks, Barry, for coordinating this, and thank you, Ray, for volunteering to give this talk. We do have some other ones coming up in the future as well. This is aimed to be monthly. Barry, if there's anything you want to chat about that, otherwise.
Yeah, if you scroll on down a little bit more, you'll see some future ones. In June, we're doing a joint session with Ham Radio Online, SDRA, and European Radio Days. All of those events come together on that Saturday, the 26th of June, and we will have a amateur radio video meeting that day, and we haven't filled in I haven't confirmed the details yet, but we'll be doing a presentation. And then in GRCon, not only will we have the normal events of GRCon, but we will have a amateur radio breakout group on Friday afternoon. So, ham radio online and SDR Academy and European Radio Days are all happening at the same time there that you have on the screen. Go ahead.
It'll be quite the weekend. So yes, just pulling up the Software Defined Radio Academy website there. And you can read their blog post from late February, and I think they'll be posting updates. I wanted specifically just to check while we're online about their call for papers and call for participation, because this is something that people might want to contribute to, and we definitely want to highlight that. And it looks like the abstract submission, yes, is still open for another 2 weeks or so. So if you have any software-defined content, and amateur radio content related to it, be sure to check this out. I'm sure that they would appreciate the submissions, and it's a great chance to share your work and get out to a fairly broad audience. So the website there is just 2021.sdra.io, or just the sdra.io homepage.
Just real quick from the off here, like as I'm taking notes, I just want to have it on the audio that the amateur radio calls are at 1600 UTC. It was on the screen and it's on all the documents that Barry talked about it, but I don't think anyone actually said it out loud. So 1600 UTC, for those who are only listening and not reading or whatever, for the amateur radio calls, that is.
That's a great point, Martin. And we've all been having a laugh amongst ourselves, and grimaces of pain. GNU Radio, as a project, will endeavor as much as possible to operate in UTC time, because daylight savings is a losing proposal for everyone. So we will try and keep all times UTC based where it makes sense. With that, I believe that's everything I had on our list. I'll check quickly on Twitch and see if we have any questions.
So we have one question. We have one comment, yeah, that the GNU Radio EU days also have the call for participation still open.
Great. I believe they're just quickly scanning down that. No, you're right. So the SDRA page does mention that they are collaborating, but I don't specifically see if the submission system is lined up, but I'm sure that can be pretty easily found. I think it's been shared on discussion as well, and we'll make sure to highlight those links as well where we can. And then there was another comment in there that the Indico, the events.gnuradio.org website, somebody spotted that we do have the project calls listed there as well. We'll be figuring out over the next coming months how much it makes sense to run on that platform. It certainly makes sense for a conference. Does it make sense for a project call? Does it make sense for working group and meetups? Maybe. And if so, we will make sure to highlight that more and more on the website. Speaking of the website as well, there's a group that I really want to get onto, I suppose, next month's project call. We have a group of people who originated from the open source design website. Oh no, I've forgotten the exact title of it, but the yes, opensourcedesign.net job board, where we have an entry from GNU Radio listed. We've had an amazing amount of response from that, and one of the things that some folks are interested in contributing to is the website. So no concrete plans yet, but hopefully you'll see some both iterative improvements and maybe even generational improvements on the website over the coming months. So we'll try and make that more and more user-friendly and attractive over time. With that, just checking and making sure I have everything from all the different chat rooms covered. I believe so. Thanks, folks, for tuning in on this month's updates. Unless there's any other business from anyone else on the call, we'll wrap up here. Have a great month, and do check out, do join us, chat.gnuradio.org, or on the Discuss GNU Radio mailing list. And for My favorite quote on SDR: sample first, ask questions later. Have a great month, and catch you all soon.